Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, I'm going to be showcasing a fun yet strong team in the Open Grade League that helped me climb over 100 points today to get to within 1 HP of hitting Expert. I started this run in the low 2600s and ended it at 2740, which at the time of recording is right around top 250 globally. The team features Shadow Dragonite, Dunsparce, and Chesnaught. And this trio put in a ton of work for me today. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and take a look at the team in action in the Open Great League. Hopping into the first match, leading Shadow Dragonite into Mandibuzz. Honestly, I'm thrilled to see the Mandibuzz here because it's not going up against the Chesnaught, but this is not an amazing matchup for the Shadow Dragonite, as Shadow Dragonite does have a slight problem, and that is that Mandibuzz is actually able to outpace and win the Zero Shield. I could potentially give up shields to try and make a play for swap, but instead, I decide I'm just going to go for a big rollout down with the Dunsparce. That way Dunsparce can get a lot of energy. But here, my opponent is going to deny that farm down and aggressively switch into Azumarill. This is a problem. Azumarill, of course, I could bring in Chesnaught, and Chesnaught would do great, but the fact that they switched this in makes me think that they have a very good check to Dunsparce as their final Pokemon. So, instead of switching, I'm just going to play this out. This could get a little bit tricky, but as long as I have shields up, Chesnaught, if I can get a small energy advantage as well, can actually do a little bit okay against Mandibuzz. So my opponent is going to be firing off a Play Rough. I can barely hang on, send in the Chesnaught, clocks up, in comes Mandibuzz, and Mandibuzz is going to be firing off its charge attack. It will be the Aerial Ace. I'm going to commit the shield, look to farm up as much as I can, and go for the Superpower just before I get to the back-to-back. Superpower into the Mandibuzz is no shielded. In the back is Shadow Kanto Marowak. And they are completely walled here. However, my defense and attack are debuffed, so this is not an amazing spot for me to be in. My opponent is now 1 away from the back-to-back Bone Clubs. So I'm going to throw 1, switch into the Dunsparce, and get the CMP sack swap. Even though I lose charge stack priority, clicking the move is important, because that way, if my opponent didn't end up throwing the move, I would get that damage. And now I should just be in a winning position with the Chesnaught. I can look to overfarm. Opponent is going to try for the catch. I can build up to a Superpower plus a Frenzy Plant, and this game will be over, as Superpower KOs the Azumarill, and I have the Frenzy Plant loaded for the Kanto Marowak. So things looked pretty dire there in the mid-game, but Chesnaught is such a beast and is able to take the win. Great lead in the next match, Shadow Dragonite versus Shadow Machamp. My opponent is going to save switch into Dugong, and that is, oh my goodness, this team is very, very weak to ice as a whole, as you can tell by the fact that I have a Dragonite and a Chesnaught on the same team. So I'm very happy to catch this Dugong as their safe swap, so I can align my Dunsparce to it. Dunsparce is going to be firing off a Rock Slide. Rock Slide is going to land. I could have thrown my second Rock Slide, but instead I would rather get myself lower, because I really don't want to give a lot of farm to Machamp. My ideal plan here is get myself low and leave with a move, so that way I threaten damage onto the Machamp, and they're not going to get a lot of farm. So that mid-game went perfectly for me. I leave with the move, it's double debuffed, but I get some damage on the Machamp, and now I can just bring in the Dragonite. Oh no, it's double ice! Uh-oh, this is very, very bad. This is very, very bad. I send in the Chesnaught because I have to, but I am in trouble here. I'm going to farm up energy with the Chesnaught, but being down energy means that I'm in a very difficult spot. Frenzy Plant is going to be shielded. Opponent firing off another Avalanche. I will commit the shield. I'm going to farm up to the double superpowers, and then I wait the turn to make sure the Powder Snow registers first. That way, a Powder Snow doesn't register on me when I'm debuffed. I bank the Superpower, I switch into the Dragonite, and Dragonite is going to make the Dragon Claw. This will force the final shield from my opponent. Machamp fires off its energy. A Cross Chop won't quite knock out here. They're running Rock Slide, and they do not have a Cross Chop banked. So a team double weak to ice goes up against double ice, but with extremely careful gameplay, we're able to take the win. Great lead in the next match, Shadow Dragonite versus Pangoro. Pangoro, very, very frail, so it will get absolutely melted by Dragon Breath, but Night Slash is going to do a ton of damage to the Dragonite. In comes a Drapion safe switch. I'm going to stay into Superpower. Superpower is very threatening, so a lot of the times People really like safe switching Drapion, and a lot of the Drapion safe switches love committing a shield. And getting a shield advantage before I can bring in the Dunsparce is honestly amazing, because I can barely outpace, make it to a drill run versus the Drapion, and thanks to the Dragon Breath damage from earlier, that actually KOs. In comes Pangoro. Pangoro is going to be hit with a drill run. Pangoro has taken some damage, so they will actually commit the shield. Can I get to a move? I think they may have gotten a farm down there if they tried for it. It would have been very close, but they end up going for the Night Slash. I'm going to bring in Chesnaught, and from here, I'm just going to go for the 2-shield farm down. Chesnaught's energy is so strong into this meta. Not only is it a Pokemon that completely walls off Dunsparce, so if your opponent safe switches a Dunsparce, you can bring in Chesnaught and the game is over, but its typing and coverage is just unbelievable offensively as well. In the back is Toxapex, a poison type for my grass, but look at Chesnaught go. I'm going to be able to launch a second Frenzy Plant, get them deep into the red, switch into Dragonite. Their only play is to try and farm down, which they're unable to do, and Shadow Dragonite just farms everything down and takes the win. We get an absolute worst case scenario lead, Shadow Dragonite versus Wigglytuff. You almost never see Charm as a whole in this meta because of how strong Pokemon like Clodsire are, but there's a Charmer here, and that's really bad. I believe this is possibly the first Charmer I've seen this entire Open Great League rotation, just because Charm is not great right now, and that's why you can kind of disrespect it by running ABA weak. Here, my opponent is just going to play out the Zero Shield, which is a little bit awkward, but I'm going to get some farm with Dragonite. Opponent sends out Dugong. How many Dragonite counters can one team have? Oh my goodness. Wigglytuff Dugong core. Oh, this is absolutely brutal. My opponent is going to commit the shield and fire off the Icy Wind. I'm going to shield, but unfortunately, I can't outpace here unless they end up over farming, which they do not. They just want to force the final shield. The Wigglytuff is very low, but the issue is it's not in Vine Whip range. I build up to the back-to-back superpowers, which is quite nice, and then I just need to switch out into the Dragonite. Opponent in the back, they have a Shadow Wall Rain! Oh my goodness, and I don't have a way to win this game. Even if I predict a catch, they can live a Vine Whip, so I'm just going to click Superpower. They get the catch, but even if I predicted this and went for the fast move, I die to a Charm, and they live a Vine Whip. So even if I predict that catch, I just can't win against that team. They have too many answers to Dragonite. Speaking of Dragonite, we've got a mirror in the next match, Dragonite versus Dragonite, and my Dragonite wins on 1 HP. Okay, this is great. Opponent now brings in Cresselia. I'm thrilled to have Switch here, because that means that I get to put Dunsparce on this in the back. Oh, this is very bad. They have their own Chesnaught. My Dragonite is gone, and their Chesnaught is up energy. This suddenly looks incredibly bad. Things were looking great at the start, but this is going to be a very difficult game to win. The good news for me is I do have a little bit of energy on that Dunsparce, but the bad news is that getting rid of this Chesnaught is not going to be easy. Vine Whip and Rollout, I have basically no fast move pressure into this Pokemon. I go for the superpower. I win charge attack priority over my opponent. Superpower is going to be shielded. This is going to be very, very tricky endgame. I will commit the shield as they go for the superpower. I wait the turn to make sure they don't catch, and I fire off a move of my own. And now I need to switch. I will be able to make the move. They try for the catch. I was expecting them to switch out there, and they do. And now, as long as I make sure that I always have a drill run loaded, I think I'm okay. Dunsparce is very bulky. 2 moves from Cresselia are not going to KO. Like, they go for the Moonblast, and I can take another Moonblast. So, I am going to farm up, and I'm just shy of the second drill run here. I need to keep residual energy, so I'm just going to keep farming. They make a move, that's fine. I'm expecting them to try and switch in and go for a combo play. So I'm just going to blind switch the Chesnaught, and that will secure me the win, as they have a lot of energy on the Chesnaught, but they don't have back-to-back loaded. They did not switch out with the move, so I can safely fire off my drill run, KO the Chesnaught, in comes Cresselia, and take the win with a second drill run. Things got very scary once I saw the Chesnaught in the back, but we're able to fight through it and still get the win. Hopping into the next match, Shadow Dragonite versus Shadow Drapion. Okay, This is a fine lead. Dragonite can just Dragon Breath down in the 2s. Opponent is going to fire off its energy. Drapion, basically, I think 100% of Drapions that I played against ended up baiting me there. There I tried to throw 3 in the move. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of a stutter and it made me throw on alignment, which is never ideal. I will commit the shield as they're almost assuredly going for the crunch now. There it is, and in comes Diggersby. Diggersby, I'm going to go for a superpower. This is super threatening. I really hope that they shield this. It'd be great if they shield it. They actually no shield, and that is a little bit unfortunate. I'm now going to bring in Dunsparce. Dunsparce normally gets crushed by Diggersby, but I have such a health advantage that I'm actually okay. I'm going to throw 2 and the move here. This is on alignment, but it's the max overfarm I can get without them making another move. In the back, oh no. They have their own Chesnaught, and that's honestly the scariest thing that you can see. When Dragonite is gone, if your opponent has their own Chesnaught, you're going to have a very, very terrible day. So I'll fire off the drill run, but I got debuffed by the Scorching Sand. So this is resisted and debuffed. That just does nothing. I bring in the Dragonite just to get a little bit of damage on the Chesnaught and force them to throw energy. They go for a superpower, so they are now going to be debuffed, so they're probably going to look to switch out into the Drapion. But they have so much energy on the Chesnaught that I just don't think I can win this game. I bring in my own Chesnaught. They're going to get to land a crunch, which is resisted, but it definitely does not look it. I have a lot of energy on my Chesnaught. I'm going to fire off a Frenzy Plant just so I don't debuff myself. I'm going to throw 1, wait the turn, and catch, but they wait the turn instantly. Oh, goodness. Very well played there by my opponent. Their Chesnaught energy management endgame was just terrific, and if you have a Dunsparce, that's going to be a pretty big problem. Hopping into the next match, Shadow Dragonite versus Malamar. Okay, bit of an uncomfortable Pokemon, honestly, for this entire team to see, as Malamar does have a pacing advantage that does let it win the 1s. However, Malamar winning the 1s is fine versus the Dragonite, as long as I'm able to get it low enough that I can farm down. So I'm going to fire off the Dragon Claw, grab the shield. They're going to go for what can only be a superpower, and that means that they're going to be debuffed. So I can now just bring in the Chesnaught to Vine Whip down. Opponent is going to switch out into a Diggersby, and that is not an answer to Chesnaught. Oh my goodness. By no means is that an answer. I'm going to farm up energy here, go for a superpower. I could have Frenzy Planted here, but I want to save energy on the Chesnaught. So what I'm going to do is superpower and then catch onto the Dunsparce. Seems like a bit of an odd play, but I wanted to save more residual energy because I'm expecting Chesnaught energy will be useful in this endgame. Again, I'm going to throw 4, which is on alignment, but they were 7 off. So I'm trying to get as much residual energy as I possibly can. And it's Ferrothorn in the back. So the energy on the Chesnaught should actually just be game winning for me. I go for the drill run. I'm just going to keep farming. They have to throw their energy at some point, and the moment they do, it's Chesnaught time. The key is they're going to look to switch it to the Malamar, so I can't debuff myself just yet. I just have to commit to farm, and I farm down the Malamar with Vine Whip, and this game is over. I have the double superpower ready to go. They shield the first, but even debuffed, this next superpower is going to basically KO from here. It gets them very, very low. I have a move, but I can just go for a nice little rollout down and take the win. Hopping to the next match, playing an opponent I played earlier in this video, Shadow Dragonite versus Shadow Machamp. This was the trainer who had the Rock Slide Machamp with the double ice. And now, since I've already played them, they know my team, so they're playing it differently. They bring in Frostlass. I'm going to go for a Dragon Claw and then a rollout farm down, because I'm going to need energy on the Dunsparce. So I bring in the Dunsparce, they're farming up a ton of energy with the Frostlass, and suddenly I realize I've made a massive mistake. 2 rollouts don't KO here. And if I throw the second rollout, they can get to their move. So I'm forced to throw energy, and I immediately regret my decision to throw that Dragon Claw. I could have saved that energy and used it to threaten a shield off an ice type, but without getting that farm down, I'm in trouble now. In comes Dugong. I will fire off the Rock Slide at the Dugong. Dugong, no shields. Wait, maybe there's a chance. I bring in the Chesnaught. I'm going to get debuffed, but I'm going to save the shield. Chesnaught is going to get some decent fast move pressure onto this Dugong. I'm going to fire off the Frenzy just to get that 1 HP of damage. Opponent throws, and I have a tough choice to make. Do I shield and go for Vine Whips? No. I'm going to try and win the game with Shadow Dragonite. In comes Shadow Dragonite. I get them low. Is it 1 rollout range? No, it is not. And that was actually my win and in-game to expert that unfortunately, by the narrowest of margins, I did end up losing. We move to the next match, Shadow Dragonite versus Shadow Drapion. Again, Shadow Drapions will just always Aqua Tail bait the Dragonite, but no shielding a Crunch is just too risky, so you're kind of forced to shield even though you know that's the only move they're going to be throwing. I will commit the shield and just farm down, because Dunsparce plus Chesnaught is a very good core in alignment. Opponent brings in Diggersby. Last time I saw this team, they had a Chesnaught in the back. I fire off the superpower, they shield, and since they shield, my hand is forced. I have to go into the Chesnaught. My opponent throws instantly, so what I should do is just throw 5 and the Frenzy Plant. I throw 4 in the Frenzy Plant, and you're going to see what sloppy gameplay can do. Look at this. They live on 1 HP. If I played that correctly and threw 5 in the move because I win charge attack priority, I don't have to take that Fire Punch. So that's entirely a move that I had to take because of sloppy gameplay. If it's Chesnaught in the back, I have to immediately pivot Dragonite. So without even seeing it, I'm pivoting into the Dragonite. Oh, that is not a Chesnaught. That is an Azumarill. Honestly, pivoting out here is still going to win me this game because, I mean, while the Dragon Breaths and Superpowers don't do a lot, they should put it into a range where rollouts plus 2 drill runs will actually KO. Azumarill has all the energy in the world, but Dunsparce just absorbs that energy like it's nothing because almost every Azumarill is on Play Rough and Ice Beam now, and the Play Roughs are just not going to cut it. From here, a second Play Rough will not KO, so my opponent is going to be forced to go for Play Rough into now double Ice Beam, as that is slightly more energy efficient because a Play Rough is not going to allow them to bubble down. So they will go for the Ice Beam, I get the Drill Run, and that should just be game over for my opponent. Drill Run gets into 1 HP, Snipe with the Chesnaught, and we're able to take the win. All in all, I do think this is a bit of a technical team to use just because Shadow Dragonite is a Pokemon that is really rewarding with good energy management, but if you're ever down on shields and down on energy, Dragonite's gonna have a terrible day. I do think that Chesnaught is an amazing core breaker right now. Being able to shut down Dunsparce, shut down Diggersby, basically any of the ground types. If the Clodsire is not on Sludge Bomb, you also wall the Clodsire's energy. So I think Chesnaught is a really good pick right now. And honestly, there's a wide variety of different save switches that you could potentially use. You're just going to want one that can beat ice types because you're pretty soft to ice types and to fairy types as a whole with this core. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.